Welcome, Joe here from Scarff Ford. Today we're going to talk about this awesome 2021 Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive that we have for sale. One amazing battery electric vehicle. I'm a big fan of Teslas. Don't get me wrong, I own a Ford myself, but I also own a Tesla, and I've bought and sold many hundreds of Teslas over the years, so I can consider myself a bit of a test-spert. I'm very familiar with these vehicles, and they are a great choice if you're looking for a battery electric vehicle. And the thing about the Model 3s, a couple of years ago, they were like in luxury car territory. They were at $50,000, $60,000 depending on which model you got. But now, over the last couple of years, Tesla has made millions of them, and they've come down a lot in price. Now you can get a nice Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive like this for under $30,000. So before, $50,000, that's luxury car territory where it's kind of limited to the amount of people who can afford a vehicle like that. But under $30,000, that's pretty much the average price for a decent used car these days. So it's a lot more accessible to a wider range of people, and a lot of people are taking advantage of these great deals on pre-owned Model 3s. Tesla has made millions of them. They're very efficient. You have Tesla's amazing supercharging network. And for 2021, we saw some of the biggest changes, some of the biggest updates on the Model 3 since it was first introduced in 2017. Obviously, now it has been refreshed even more. But for the older Teslas, the 2021 had some substantial upgrades, which I'll talk about. First and foremost, the biggest change we saw is a newer design in the center console. And then you have this nice wireless charging pad right there where you can put your phone. So that's easy to charge. You can hear it. It's charging right now, even with a case on. Some of those wireless charging pads can be a little bit picky when it has a case, but this one works great with phone cases on it. And one big upgrade that we saw for 2021 that you can't see, well, you'd have to kind of partially disassemble the vehicle to see it, is that they added a heat pump. When they added the heat pump, that greatly improved the Model 3's range. It went from a fully charged range from about 300 miles to, I think it was like 340 or 350 miles. A heat pump is very efficient, just like in your house. In a battery electric vehicle like this Tesla, it makes it so much more efficient in colder and warmer weather. Especially in the cold, the heat pump makes a big difference. So that heat pump is a big update. Then we also saw redesigned headlights as well. We have these really cool projector, I think they call them matrix LED headlights, which are really cool. That was an update for 2021. And then another update is this new Tesla glass. We have this double pane glass, which has a sound deadening material sandwiched in between. And that makes it a lot more quieter on the highway. Very quiet. It's quiet already being an EV, but that double pane glass with that insulation material in between makes it that much more quieter. It's like a sensory deprivation chamber inside. It's not overly cluttered with buttons and knobs. You have the majority of the functionality in this screen, and Tesla is the master of over-the-air updates. There's actually one update right now. Tesla is constantly updating the vehicle. They're sending over-the-air updates where they can fix a lot of recalls. A lot of other vehicles, you actually have to physically bring the car into the dealership to get recalls. The majority of recalls that have been on Teslas were able to be resolved just with an over-the-air update. You just download an update and it fixes it. That's easy. So you just have to get it connected to Wi-Fi. Generally, you can do that at your house, and you can download those updates. So the updates, they're improving the functionality, they're adding features. With the premium connectivity, it's $10 a month. You can stream data into your vehicle. You can stream music, you can stream movies and YouTube. There's an internet browser. You can't do this stuff while you're driving. Obviously, you can do the music and the karaoke, but you have to be parked to watch this stuff. Then they're adding video games. There's a lot of cool video games to play. You can play some of them on the screen. Some of the driving games, you can actually use the actual steering wheel and pedals to control the car in the video game. Pretty cool stuff, while you're supercharging. That's nice. That's a great feature. And then you can get like a Xbox style controller that plugs into the USB port. You can play some of those games with the Xbox style controller. So if you want to kill some time while you're charging, waiting for your spouse in the store, you're waiting in the vehicle, all great things to kill time. And with the premium connectivity, you also get these really cool live Google Maps. You can also have an illustrated view if you prefer that as well. We have a fantastic climate control system. It's very easy and intuitive to use. It's just like using a tablet. The Tesla's interface is very easy. It's almost like it was designed by Apple. Very intuitive. You have these amazing parking cameras as well, making parking and maneuvering very easy. We gotta put this one on the charger. So going to the software screen, this has all the information about the vehicle. This has 39,313 miles. This shows it has the autopilot. So then we have autopilot, which is traffic awareness cruise control, which allows the vehicle to brake and accelerate and steer in its own lane. I know full self-driving gets a lot of press these days, but autopilot's pretty amazing. I've used it a lot. It'll be a godsend if you drive and stop and go traffic. And the thing of autopilot too, unlike a lot of other ADAS systems, which are only usable on the highway, the autopilot's actually usable on regular roads. Just as long as there's lines in the road, it can read the lines in the road, it'll let you put it on. So if you're in like stop and go traffic on a 2-lane road or something like that, the autopilot will be a godsend. You can get a lot of mileage out of it. You just have to be a little bit more diligent when using off highway. It's not going to stop for red lights. It's not going to stop for stop signs. It's not going to change lanes. It will do like emergency braking and stuff like that. It's not the full self-driving. It's kind of like full self-driving light, but a lot of people love the autopilot, and a lot of people who get, use Teslas and use autopilot for commuting and stuff, they get so spoiled by it, it's hard for them to go back to a vehicle that doesn't have it. So this is a dual motor long range, so it has a motor in the front and motor in the back, making it all-wheel drive, also making it really quick. It's like having two engines. 0 to 60 is a little over 4 seconds, and this is not the Model 3 Performance. This is a regular dual motor, but this thing, even the dual motor is ridiculously fast. It can put a lot of purpose-built sports cars to shame. With EVs, you have instantaneous throttle response when you hit the accelerator. There's no momentary pause while the engine has to rev, the transmission has to downshift. You have instantaneous thrust. It's unlike any performance gas car you've driven. It's quite fun. It's like having your own personal amusement park ride in a lot of ways. So this has a fully charged range of about 350 miles, give or take, when fully charged, but that can be a little bit deceiving. So going over the charging, we have this slider right here, and that limits the state of charge. So for daily use on this Tesla, they recommend charging it to 80%, because this Tesla is equipped with lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries are usually popular in a little bit more performance-oriented, higher-end versions of EVs like this Model 3. The thing with lithium-ion batteries, for the happy and healthiest life, they only like to be charged to 80% for daily use. It's perfectly fine every once in a while for a road trip to charge it to 100%. See, it has a little warning message. But for daily use, charge it to 80%. So that probably gives you a usable range of more like 280 or so miles. A range can depend on outside temperature, elevation, where you're driving, how you drive, highway driving, city driving, are you doing a lot of sporty driving. All that stuff can affect your range, but generally you're going to get about a 280 mile range out of this thing, charged to 80%, give or take. So for most people, that's going to be well within their daily commute. Most people don't drive more than 100 miles a day, but if you do want a road trip, or you do drive a lot, Tesla has an amazing supercharging network for you to use. See, look over here. These are all the superchargers. So just within 10 miles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 superchargers. And you just hit that button, and the navigation system will route you to the supercharger. And it will also precondition the battery. You can see it's preconditioned the battery. So it's warming up the battery so it will charge more efficiently. All those stories of, those people that in sub-zero weather or freezing weather where they couldn't charge your Teslas, that's because they didn't precondition their battery. If they can precondition their battery before they went to the supercharger in the cold weather, they would have charged. But when a battery is really cold, it's not going to charge. But luckily Tesla has your back. You just have to make sure you navigate to a supercharger. Right now I can hear it actually warming up the battery right now. But we're not going to go to the supercharger right now. We're just going to put it on the regular charger. And Tesla has an amazing trip planner. That's really the ace in the hole of Teslas, is the trip planner. It really takes the range anxiety out of owning a Tesla, out of owning an EV. So you have Tesla's amazing trip planner. You just put in where you want to go into the navigation system, and it will automatically navigate you there. It'll tell you where to stop, how long to charge for, how much range you'll have at your destination. If you want to do a round trip without charging, it'll tell you if you have enough energy to make a round trip to your destination and back. It's really awesome. And the Tesla trip planner is very complex. It uses a lot of information. It takes into consideration elevation, tire pressure, outside ambient temperature, wind speeds. Sometimes if you're battling against a 30 mile an hour headwind, that can affect your range. So it all takes that into consideration when planning out your trip. Then we have Tesla's amazing dash cam. So this has 8 cameras all the way around it. It's constantly recording information. It's constantly paying attention, and these cameras are used with the autopilot system, making the autopilot, a very safe system. But it's like having a 360 dash camera always going. So when you can pop in a data drive, it's like a USB data drive into the glove box, and basically you can put a bigger one, but the standard one will record about an hour's worth of driving, and then you can save clips. So if you get pulled over and you don't think, you got a ticket for whatever reason, you don't think it's your fault, well, it's all recorded. If you get in an accident, you don't think it's your fault, it's all recorded. When the car is parked, it's also recording. It has Sentry mode. So if your car is vandalized, someone keys your car, it will record it. There's not a lot of other vehicles that can do that. So it's an amazing system, and you can also pull up like live camera views on your phone. The Tesla app on your phone is just another thing. It's so amazing. So much to talk about. I could literally probably go an hour talking about this car. All right, let's keep this video rolling along. Nice color combination on white on black vegan leather. They call it vegan leather. It's synthetic leather. You can't actually get leather in any Tesla anymore. Since there's no engine up here, we have a frunk. So you have more cargo space. It's also a safety feature. Since there's no engine here, you have a crumple zone that's about 60% larger than the crumple zone in a gas car. So you have all this space to absorb crash energy. In fact, when the NHTSA first tested the Model 3, it's the safest vehicle they've ever tested out of any other vehicle on the road. So the lowest probability of injury in a vehicle accident out of any other vehicle on the road. So if you value your safety, you value family safety, your friend's safety, whoever's riding with you, the Model 3 is one of the safest vehicles on the road. Despite some of all that, scary stuff you hear in the news about how Teslas are dangerous and crashing and all that stuff, it's quite the opposite. And it's data. Look at this, you have extra space down here too. Normally it'd be a gas tank or exhaust system, but since this is an EV, you have more space. Yeah, so despite all that, naysaying you see in the media about how dangerous, Teslas are, it's quite the opposite. It's one of the safest vehicles on the road. And not only how it's built makes it safe, it's also the autopilot. Tesla actually just released some data on their autopilot system, and it's averaging 1 accident for every 7 million miles driven. I'll say that again. 1 accident for every 7 million miles driven. The average regular driver driving average is about 1 accident for every 600,000 or 700,000 miles driven. So the autopilot also makes it safe. People get distracted. Look how much space I have back here. It's a compact vehicle. I have all this headroom and legroom. Very comfortable for a full-size adult. I'm 6'2". I had that front seat adjusted for my height. The thing with human drivers is that we get distracted. We have cell phones. We're playing around with the radio. But the Tesla's autopilot system never get distracted. It has 8 cameras all the way around it, monitoring what's going on, never getting distracted. So you're kind of like the foreman, you're kind of like the supervisor, just sitting there supervising while the car does the work for you. And just, keeping the car centered in its lane on the highway, you would be surprised how much mental energy it takes to do that. So I can tell you, when you put the autopilot on, it really lifts the weight off your shoulders, especially like in dark, rainy weather where it's hard to see and you kind of have a tight grip on the steering wheel. A lot of that anxiety goes away when you get to the autopilot system, but it takes some getting used to. You have to get comfortable with the system. Not everyone's completely comfortable with giving up control of the vehicle on the highway, but once you learn to trust it and you realize how good it is, and it very rarely, if ever, makes any mistakes, you'll come to love it very much. Well, there we have a beautiful example of a 2021 Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive. Thanks so much for taking the time today to watch this video. Hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful day.